What is going on? It is Chris Colgan, your favorite DC, Maryland, Virginia area realtor, back yet again with coming to Washington, DC, Virginia, and Maryland. There is so much in the pipeline now that we're kind of getting on the tail end of the pandemic. I'm seeing a lot more building coming on and a lot of cool things coming through the area. So I combed everywhere as I could to see what is coming to the area. So let's just get right into it. So starting in this week's episode, there's actually a new museum coming to Washington, DC, and there's like 30 of these already around the country. It's called Museum of Illusions. Now, this is more of like a photo-friendly style, like Instagram, social media style. It's going to have a lot of like optical illusions, magician, like David Copperfield type stuff in Northwest Washington. It's going to be 6,000 square feet. It's going to be opening in the fall. So this is actually a huge chain that started in Europe that grew really popular. I saw some pictures and videos of the one in Philadelphia, and it's going to be really interactive and entertainment and not just strictly a selfie museum, the owner is saying. So looking really forward to this one. Comment below what you guys think about this exciting new museum coming to DC. Another awesome development that I saw, one of my favorite places, and obviously I'm a bigger guy, Wawa, because they have amazing cafes and all that and different food choices, and I like Sheets as well. They have come out and said they're going aggressively growing in the area from Florida all the way up to Maryland, and the DC region is going to be one of the top areas they're really going to focus on. Why this is huge is obviously it's going to create a lot of jobs. They're saying they're going to double the amount of Wawa stations they have in the DC area by the 2030. But the cool thing is they actually, which I didn't know, have the most Tesla supercharging stations. So they're actually going to be putting in more of the Tesla style supercharger stations that you've been seeing pop up everywhere. And they said all these new gas stations they're going to be putting in are actually going to be geared towards electric, with obviously the food style and the beverage style stuff restaurant they have as well. So they're going to be doubling a lot of these, and they said they're going to be putting them all up and down 95 and a lot of like hotbed areas. I've seen a lot of them pop up here in Northern Virginia, so expect to see a lot more Wawas. If you have a Tesla or another electric vehicle, comment below if you guys have been using it. My brother, who actually only has one eye, got a Tesla with this for the self-driving thing, and it really did change his life. And so he was telling me, you know, it's kind of up and down, but he uses the supercharge station. Did I say that right? Supercharging station a lot at the one in Sheets and Haymarket. So Wawa doubling down in the next few years, so expect a lot more Wawa locations and a lot more Tesla supercharging stations throughout the area. All right, so in business news, a bigger company, obviously Google, aka Alphabet, has just subleased 130,000 square feet in Washington, DC, over in Northwest Washington. And the CEO had actually said last year in the United States they had planned to put together about $7 billion for 10,000 new jobs, and a lot of the infrastructure would actually be in Northern Virginia for more data centers in Prince William and Loudoun counties. And then obviously they're going to increase their workforce in Washington, DC. So the main reason for a lot of these office buildings you're seeing is going to be for jobs for the data centers, but also for getting government contracts with the Pentagon and all that. See, if you are looking to do housing and all that or buy a house, I always tell people, if Washington, DC goes down, the rest of the country goes down. So you can see companies like Google, Silicon Valley companies that have moved out towards Texas and all that are moving into the DC area, because a lot of these huge contracts are with the Department of Defense and the Pentagon and all that. So apparently Google actually already has 300 jobs that they just posted in the area for the Washington, DC area that mentioned the DC area according to DC Business Insider. So, and most of that is going to be for government affairs and cloud style jobs. So obviously these data centers, as much as they can be a pain, they do bring in a lot of new jobs. And you know, with Amazon Web Services, obviously Google is going to be Google Cloud and all that. They're going to be competing against each other. So they're going to go really heavy for some of these contracts. So expect to see a lot of expansion from Alphabet, aka Google, and the DC area in the future. All right, talking more about the metro system. Obviously the metro system, you know, they've taken a long time to expand out to Maryland and Virginia a lot more, but the Washington Metropolitan Area Transit Authority, which runs Metro and the Metro bus system, just announced their first ever strategic plan where they're going to be developing 26 new, hold on a second, I think I almost like stopped myself here. 26,000 new houses in Virginia, Maryland, and DC, and the 40 metro stations that they have, 6 of which are in Northern Virginia. They're actually going to be expanding those and adding 31 million more square feet of development, and it's going to bring in 30 million tax revenue for the area. So they actually, on all these metro stations, apparently they have 500 available acres to do all this expansion. So what they're going to be doing is making these a lot bigger. Now in Northern Virginia, Virginia. Where they're really going to focus on is Braddock Road, the Huntington State Van Dorn Street in Alexandria, East Falls Church, West Falls Church, and the Fairfax Vienna station, which I know that one has really had a lot of development lately and needs a lot more space. And so they're going to be doing a lot more. Now, this is going to take a long time. We know the metro moves really slow, but they're saying this is going to be about a 10-year project. But I'm curious to know, like, they're going to be using some of this land to bring in new housing and metro style living. So what do you guys think about that? I'm not sure what I think. Obviously, it's a 10-year project. They're trying to do more affordable housing. We know Amazon just put $2 billion into the Arlington area to help with affordable housing. So what do you guys think? Definitely comment below about that. And finally, jumping back into DC over by the Wharf, which got really hit hard by COVID, is obviously seeing a lot of growth right behind Audi Field. There's something called a massive Buzzard Point development, and they just got a $367 million loan to make these crazy looking retail, apartment style, office style buildings. They're probably one of the craziest things I've ever seen before. I'm showing the pictures up here. It's going to be a 2 million square foot project, and you can also see the land is already starting to be developed right behind Audi Field where DC United plays. So they haven't really said how much they're going to be building right from the first phase. The only thing they've really said is there's going to be 3 towers with 1,100 rental units, and then fully built out is expected to have 2,000 more multifamily units and 80,000 square feet of retail, hotels, office space, and open space, all with underground parking, which would be huge because I don't know if you've ever gone to a concert over there in the Wharf at the Anthem, there's hardly any parking. So this is going to be a huge development for the Wharf area. I see in the future this Wharf area is going to be bigger and bigger. These office buildings, I love the way they look. They definitely went different with it, kind of like Amazon did with their new headquarters. So definitely think this is another great, huge project. And other than that, like, I haven't seen much news in the last 2 or 3 weeks. I think a lot of these developers and all that are kind of waiting to see what happens with all the inflation and all the high building costs at the moment. But a lot of this land was purchased. I just read that they purchased this land almost 15 years ago. So they've held on to this land, or a lot of times it takes time to get permits and everything approved, especially in DC. So they're starting to finally start building out some of this stuff. So let me know what you guys think. Plenty of things coming to the area. If you have any real estate related questions, definitely hit me up. Text me at the number below. Comment, subscribe. As always, we'll see you at the top or from the top.